Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, the first update on my tri-attribute stacking Gemling, or Gemling Legionnaire. Like, I call it the Gambler because, reasons. Good. Lots of things have changed, lots of things has been going on, especially with the build, with the items, and so on and so forth. But I'm not talking more about the investment of my character, it's more about the inflation hitting, the build's getting popular, and every item is so freaking expensive, it's actually crazy. We're gonna put this build in like several parts. Please check on the bottom side of the bar of YouTube, with the timestamps and stuff, because the map showcase, we're probably gonna run like what is it, T12, T13 or something. At the end of the video, fully uncut, I go in without commenting, just like, sound on, and you can enjoy the full gameplay of what the build currently looks like, while I'm now talking about all the changes and stuff that I've been going through. So basically, if you remember, and I still think we're gonna swap out this to that. So, you know that in the first iteration of the video, the character was level 65 or something, where I just ran my first map. I think I showcased like a T1 map or something, doesn't really matter too much. And I said I have absolutely no resistance. So the first thing that I had to do is replace a bunch of my items, and we are currently now level 87, and I literally pushed all the maps that I had to do for the quest. So from I went from T1 up to T15, and I did my quest, and I even did a T16 on top of that, right? So we basically pushed the entire thing with the current investment. So what has changed? Basically, I removed the chest. So I completely got away from the chest. I removed my leveling boots, my leveling ring and amulet, and so on and so forth. And the only thing that I really wanted was resistance. So basically, the belt was fine since it had at least a bit of cold res, but boots, just a lot of resistance, a bit of life, a bit of movement speed, and that's about it. The chest, insane amounts of resistances and life. Same with the necklace, we have double res, attributes, a bit of life, and dexterity on the implicit, which is not really too important, because the thing is with the new system on the skill tree, since I want to like balance that out as good as possible, it is so easy now to say, oh, my amulet has dex, so I don't need as much dex, so I can just swap the dex nodes into intelligence or strength or something like that, So it's very, very easy. Don't hang yourself up on, I need now a dex implicit amulet or something, right? Forget about that. Stats is important, because the rest of the stats you can just simply adjust in your tree. As you see, most of my strength nodes have been gone into intelligence nodes. Why is that? Because mainly here is a strength cluster, here is a strength cluster, and whereas the intelligence clusters, it is on the top side over here, right? So I don't have too much access to that, so I'm more likely to swap my strength nodes into intelligence, and most likely have a bunch of like dexterity stuff on the right side, but mostly, as I said, I need to get intelligence. Anyways, we're gonna keep this as close together as possible for this iteration of the build. So as I said, all I was missing, or all I needed basically in the first place, is I want to get res capped. And I'm not even talking about chaos res, I'm talking about normal res, because yes, attributes are scaling our damage. Strength gives us like weapon damage and life. Then dexterity gives us accuracy and attack speed, and intelligence gives us AoE and flat damage coming from the hand of wisdom and action. And by the way, sorry if I don't explain the build too well from this point on, just because I made the first video where it explains how the build is working. Now I want to talk about or focus on the upgrades. What have I learned while playing the build? What is the next procedure, and so on and so forth. So I don't want to explain too much on how everything is put together, just like what has changed from the previous video, right? And the planner is in the description below as always. Good. So I replaced my attribute stuff for the majority of life resistance gear, but now we reach a point where I said, okay, I think the easiest way and probably the cheapest way at the moment is to get Grand Spectrum jewels. So these Grand Spectrum jewels, they give you 4 to all resistance per Grand Spectrum jewel. So the way these work, I think I have 2 right now. If I can find the other one, where was it? Here is another one. So 1 jewel gives you 4 all res. 2 jewels gives you 2 times 8. And if you wear 3 of those, you get 3 times 12. So for each Grand Spectrum you have socketed, the limit is 3, so you can have 3 of those. each individual one gets stronger. So when I have 3 socketed, each of those gives me 12 all res, is a total of 36 all res. And when I have 2, this is now 4 all res, but now with 2 socket in, it is 2 times 8 is 16. And those 16 were enough basically to swap over to my Moriar Invictus chest and still be res capped. Now I'm on a point where I have like 130 cold res, so now it would be the time to say, okay, which pieces of mine have like insane amounts of cold res, and can I swap that into a chaos res item as an example? Or can I get some away with like some other runes or in any other item combination where I can maintain my res cap, but now start to stack the chaos res cap? And I want to make a disclaimer here. This way, without the Grand Spectrum jewels, because now you see I'm way over res capped. This is the way how I played up until tier 16. It was in the last 2 hours of the stream today, where I was able to afford the second Grand Spectrum jewel, and now I can equip this chest. And as you see, my stats go from like close to 300 to like 330 or something. But it is still like 40 more stats or something, which is more damage, more AoE, more attack speed, more flat damage, and so on and so forth. So overall, very good, as well as on the defense side. Because with my old chest, which is just a hybrid armor evasion chest, right, we have about 2,000 armor and about 2,500 evasion compared to the this chest, which has 5% or at least 20% increased, 40% increased global defense, which gets me up to 4,000 armor and like 5,000 evasion rating, right? And I'm gonna be honest, when we talk about, or let's finish this the giga process. So the rest of the items are pretty much the same. I did make some minor adjustments on the tree. Went a little bit more for tankiness. That means that I put in this cluster here, 25% armor applies to fire damage taken from hits. I also was running this 3 points over here with the 1 max res when I had this chest still, right, just to get a little bit more tanky. Because what happened was, I was finally getting to tier 15 maps, and then I wanted to farm those. And the way I do it, basically, which is stupid, but I used my tier 50 maps, I vaulted them and tried to run tier 60 maps, and some of these tier 60 maps, or even a tier 15 corrupted, had like 5 affixes or something, right? And the way my Atlas tree looks like is like this, okay? So we have rare monsters have 1 or 2 additional modifiers, right? We have increased monster pack size, right? We have, I think we go now up somewhere else. So here, 1 extra rare monster is duplicated, right? More rare monsters in your map. So you make the maps a lot harder than they should be, and then you start corrupting your tier 15 maps, turning them into tier 16 if you're lucky, and yeah, all of a sudden, you're not, like the jump from like a T13 or T14 Alken Go style, or Transmute, Augment, and Regal into like those massive maps. Long story short, I was dying quite often. Like, probably I managed to do 1 map clear, and the next 4 maps I died until I made another map clear. Problem is, I soaked up all my T15 maps, and I could not sustain them the way I played because I was dying too often, because my defenses were lacking massively, right? Because I just didn't have the damage, or the damage in terms of like one-shotting everything before it kills you, or the tankiness to survive any kind of explosion or chaos stuff. They nerfed the chaos stuff, the undeath, the volatiles and stuff, but I still have 0 chaos res, you know? So having 75 chaos res and having 0 is quite a big of a difference when it comes to like those chaos degen grounds and whatnot. So what I decided to do is basically to just keep on farming tier 11, 12, 13 maps, as you see over here, and I still have like a bunch over here. Let's say tier 12, this is like what I just ran, then we have a bunch of T13, T14, T15 1 map, T16 none, right? So I'm currently, just because I know my build is a bit squishy here, let's be honest, it is squishy, okay? I need to farm lower tier maps to generate currency, to then start grinding again. And this is exactly what I did the entire day, farming tier 11, 12, 13, after I was done with my progress, right? And now I was able to afford the Grand Spectrums. And then I switched over to this chest, instantly got like 2,000-3,000 armor and evasion, while maintaining my res cap and having more damage, more AoE and everything coming from the attributes. And then I started doing some T15 again, right? And all of a sudden, from like 5 T15 maps, I survived 4 of them. I cleared them, right? But I was unlucky, I did not sustain them. So that's why I said, you know what? I feel more tanky, and this is the cool thing about attribute stacking. Once you add stats, you feel that your build is getting better, right? You just feel it, right? And now I'm back on farming like tier 12 and tier 13 since I have so many maps, turning them into tier 14s. Then I'm probably going to farm the T14s and then probably stock up to like 10, 15 or 20 T15 maps. And then hopefully at this point I have made further upgrades to the build because we are just scratching on the surface of this build and it's already doing very, very good. Quick overview about the talent tree before I forget it. So as I said, the changes that I've made already talked about. Mainly, I actually went up to here with the maximum lightning damage and here the jewel slot, but I said I have enough damage, I need more tankiness, so I removed all of these on the top side here and invested here for the additional charm slot. I put a couple points here with the armor, I put another couple points somewhere into regen, I think, over here, just to make it a little bit more sustainable, right? And now with getting more and more level, I think now I'm going to fill up this electrocute over here with the chance to electrocute as well, because electrocute is like a stun, right? So that will help the survivability as well, and once I have that one, then I'll probably go back up here with the Wildstorms, but this is now a lot of points and we are already level 87, right? I have also done my third lap, went into the crystalline potential, but I'm not entirely sure if we go the way of the maximum resistance or if we take double support gems, but I think this is like the worst case because I'm using a one button build with just Ice Strike, right? Or do we go up for the less cost of skills, might be also good, or the +1 of all skills. But the thing with the less cost of life, when I talk about sustain, I'm talking about single target, boss sustain, right? So if I hold down my attack, and we are currently, I think, on like almost 9 attacks per second, right? You see how my life goes down. So why is that? Obviously, I'm running this with blood magic, so I'm spending life instead of mana for my stuff, right? But imagine I have a normal life mana cost of like 70 with 8 or 9 attacks per second. This is like 400 or 500 mana per second, and if I don't scale into too much intelligence or something, or mana regen and recovery, I will just be all day long, right? So the way I think we're gonna make it better is just like having a higher life pool, getting more regen, and basically out-sustain that, try to get some leech or something like that, and that will just feel naturally better to play then, right? Because if I hammer down a boss, even if the boss is stunned, even if it's like frozen up or anything, I'm degenning constantly, which I have to get back up with my life flask. Obviously, when I'm doing mapping, it's not a problem because I'm running jewels, or some of them, that have like life recouped and recover life on kill. I think I'm running 2 of those. So every time I kill a monster, I recover 4% of life. And you can imagine if in the mapping scenario there is 10, 20 monsters, you dash in, you one-shot this one monster, everything goes off, the explosions, the Herald of Ice, and I'm instantly on full life again, right? So that's why I say I'm more concerned about the single target / bossing aspect of sustain, but I'm far away from that at the moment. The map bosses, if there are some, they still die in like 5 seconds, so it's never an issue to just within the fight use a life flask. So other than that, nothing really much has changed. Planner is in the description below. When it comes to my skill setup, I think nothing has changed. I put quality on my gems. It was like a very cheap investment. I think like 50 exalts and all my gems have quality now, because sometimes it's like attack speed, explosion rates, it just feels better, right? It's just also an investment. Next thing is probably to put a 5th socket here on my Shattering Palm, Tempest Bell, Hand of Chayula, Herald of Ice or something. And that's pretty much it. So we're running here my Ice Strike with Close Combat, Martial Tempo, Electrocute, Concentrate Effect, and Primal Armaments. Shattering Palm with Innervate, Ice Bite, and Magnified Effect. Tempest Bell with Overabundance, then Persistence and Rage. This is basically, as soon as I have a 5-link, I'm going to put in Rage plus Rage Forged and probably squeeze out some more DPS. That's why I have the gem here. So every time I go into my vendor tab, basically, I remember, oh shit, I need to put in a 5-link, right? But still haven't done that one. Then we have Hand of Chayula with Voltaic Mark, or what is this? Voltaic Mark, Conductivity, and Hate and Curse. This is mainly because the majority of our damage is lightning damage. This is something I barely ever use, if than for bosses. So instead of like dashing to the boss with Shattering Palm, I'm dashing over with the Hand of Jayular and applying both curses or marks here for the increased damage. Herald of Ice, Cold Mastery, Cold Pen, and Ally Focus. Wind Dancer here with Maim, Pin, and Vitality. And this is something I was trying out because you probably all saw Weggle's video with like the Stone Wave plus Upheaval interaction, which is kind of funny because this is a skill that is one Shockwave in the front, right? But with the Upheaval support, it's actually generating 3 Shockwaves. But for my investment currently, this is doing like so much less damage, and I'm having a hard time clearing compared to Ice Strike, which has this built-in dash and just feels a lot better for me. So I was testing it out, but I personally did not really like it all that much. Good. So let's talk about the investment and what is like the big issue right now. So mainly it is the increased spike of the currency you need for this build, right? As an example, I bought my gloves for 100 exalts, right? If we take a look now what they are right now, so Hand of Wisdom in action, just like the first pair that pops up, we talk about 8 divines, right? So 8 divines times 60, we talk about 480 exalts, like 500 exalts, and I paid 100 exalts for them. Next up, the chest, I bought this with a 100% perfect roll. As you see, 300% increased armor evasion. This chest perfectly rolled cost me 140x, right? And if we just check how much this thing is now, just like any variation, corrupted with 1 divine, which is actually cheaper. But let's see, what do we need? I think I have it still bookmarked somewhere over here. So this attribute global defense. So we talk about 10 divines, you know. This one has like lower attributes on the corruption, so screw that thing. But so we talk about 10 divines, which is now like 600 exalts, and I paid, as I said, 140 or something for the perfect roll. So yes, I spend a lot less for what it is worth right now. But also the problem, all the other items went up in price tremendously, right? Doesn't matter, the divine price is rising up day by day, but Astramentis is also rising up. It's still like a 90 divines item, even though it was 70 when Exalt was cheaper, the divine Exalt ratio, right? So certain items are just getting so freaking overpriced. Also like a different chest, right, with like, instead of global defense, with like all resistance, for example, we talk about 50 divines all of a sudden, you know? And what I'm gonna say is like, even for me, even though I'm playing 12 hours a day, it is so hard. Like, I farmed like 13 or 14 hours on stream today, and all I managed to do is farm actually 2 Grand Spectrums and swapping to a chest that I already had. So I made like 4 or 5 divines today. So it is, I mean, I was progressing most of the time, and obviously streaming, I was doing my own loot filter, or a new loot filter basically, that is currently work in progress. So it's not like that I was farming 13 hours straight, but still, the prices are ridiculously high, and I probably need a couple of days to farm 1 single piece, and I would like to have like 10 new pieces, right? And all the rare items that I have here, from the boots, the amulet, and the chest and whatever, they're all like 5 to 10 exalt items, right? But this is like kind of problematic, because when people want to ask me like, hey, how much did you spend for your build? And I'm like, yeah, like total like 5-6 divines total. They're like, oh, that's insane, right? And now the gloves alone are more worth than that, right? So that's why it's hard for people to actually start the build, even though I still think you can get away with just the Pillar of the Cage God, and then instead of the gloves, invest into damage to attacks, basically. Good. Then is the next question, what is an obvious question? I have now 2 options. Either I just pull through and enjoy finally, after so many days, the end game of Path of Exile, more or less, or starting to explore the end game with getting like ridiculously hard maps, using all your watchtowers, and actually farm T15, T16 and make actually good currency, and maybe see finally the first bosses with the quest that I have you open with the Citadel, and maybe the first time where we completely gonna fail on the first end boss or something, right? Because I haven't got myself spoilered, because I just want to find this out myself, even though I would waste hundreds of exalts of fragments there just to try it out. But if I farm it myself, I just want to do it or try it out myself and learn the encounters and stuff like that. Or the, let's say, more 5-head move would be, oh, I spent 5 divines for my build and it's now worth 40 divines. Do I just, take the hype, sell all the items, and just say like, okay, this build is just getting way too expensive for me, and I cannot afford it anyways. I just have the base core items, but the rest I cannot afford. So either I stick through or I sell everything, and with a 40 or 50 divines, I play another build that is not meta and make like an insane build on top of that, right? But at the moment, I really want to stick to this one and try to like farm up and the currency and actually enjoy the end game at this point, because I still really enjoy the build, the way it is going, and I have planned some other shenanigans that I want to build into the build here. But yeah, we're going to see in the next couple of days how much currency I can accumulate and how the prices are going to change, the Exalt Divine ratio, the items that I want to buy, if they are dropping or raising even more, and so on and so forth. This is something I cannot say. But yeah, this is it for today's update video. The planner, as I said, is in the description below. And now we're going to take a look at the showcase. For me, I would say thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.